think you've spoken about your alopecia. I've heard an awesome podcast. Maybe talk a little bit about how that has, felt. How are you doing with this?
Well, I feel great, and I feel so much more free to have taken off wigs. I'll tell you a little of the progression of it.
Yeah.
It was alopecia is hair loss. It is a condition. It's not an illness.
Yeah.
And men are very prone to it. It's very commonplace. Nobody thinks twice about seeing someone who has thinning hair or going bald if they're a man. But women's hair is so important in our culture, and probably a dozen years ago or so, I started to notice that my hairline was receding, and it was diagnosed, and I lived with it for a few years as my hairline was receding, and I got very self-conscious about it, especially when I was outside in the wind. And in the end, I decided that it was so far that I needed to start wearing a wig. Because I was just so self-conscious about it. And I've gone through a few wigs over time, have fun with it. I have a rainbow wig, and I went to Palm Springs blonde after trying a red wig, and yeah, it was fun, but it was also not always comfortable in the hot weather, whatever. And last year, just about a year ago, I decided it was time to just take the wig off. It was actually a video that I saw of a young woman. I think it was staged, the video, but it was it had a really good story. It was about a girl going on her first date and saying, if this is going to go any further, there's something you need to know about me. And she takes off her wig in a restaurant, and he says, "Oh, you're beautiful. Don't put it back on." And but you could see the struggle that she went through. Because this is part of her identity. And I thought, well, I'm not in a position where I have that struggle anymore. I've been married for many decades, and happily so. And it was like, okay, I can help as a leader in community. I can be a voice to say, this is okay. People have to accept women who don't have hair as well.
Right.
So I sort of feel like I'm in a privileged place to be able to do that.
Right. And did you feel like it was a challenge in a relational way with some of people you work with, or any of the people in the community, or was?
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, I chose to become more public, first in a more private setting amongst my colleagues of MLAs in government, and they were just so wonderful. And I was at a conference where there's similar, accepting people, and with hundreds of people as opposed to dozens, and I was able to slowly integrate into the real world. And then I came home. I remember we were going home by plane, and I was a little worried because all of my ID had me with hair, and here I was without hair. And I said, I'm worried that they're not going to think that it's me. And someone turned to me and said, "You're kidding, right? Nobody's going to question you." And really the reason is because a lot of people think that if a woman has no hair, it's because she is either undergoing chemotherapy for cancer or recovering. And that just simply isn't my case.
No.
I have never had cancer and never gone under chemotherapy to lose my hair in that way. And the harder part for me is to know that it won't come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
There's different kinds of alopecia, and I do have some hair, but I choose to shave what little I have left, because then I don't have to think about where that hairline is today.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, kind of sounds like it was an empowering experience, like fearful, and then went to empowering, and then the people around you, their reaction to you, get a sense of kind of who they are and how they react to you.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
right,
And I still to this day get people thinking that, you know, I'm not well, or and it's very kind and well intentioned, and it's also an opportunity for me to remind people that it's just a condition. And that it's okay, it's normal, and I'm okay.
And you're talking about it, which is good for you, and it really moves that that whole thing. You know, number one, you talk about alopecia, but you also talk about what it, you know, how it is for a female identified person in our society to not have hair, and so that's I commend you on a really kind of coming out and talking about that stuff.